Hello, this is Danny Raymond, the voice behind Ray's Guide. This video is sponsored by Southern New Hampshire University and their online Bachelor of Science in Computer Game Design. More on that later. Now that the pressing headlines of the IAE and 3.21.1 are behind us and 3.22 under NDA, I can turn my attention to something I've been wanting to dig into since the last afternoon of Citizencon, and that is Todd Pappe's announcement of the base building game. As a retired architect, programmer, and lover of RTS and city building games, I have a lot of thoughts on this. Quite possibly more than one video's worth. So I'm going to start at the topmost level to build a foundation and then work my way down into more levels of detail. So at the very topmost level, it is important to point out that everything shown visually during Todd's presentation was an exploding toilet, which is a term I coined to mean an entertaining visual representation to show a concept but having no relation to the actual feature. I took the term from an Inside Star Citizen episode recently on the engineering gameplay, where they said that if systems weren't maintained, they could fail suddenly, and they showed, to illustrate it, an exploding toilet. Now, we knew even then that the engineering system had no plumbing component. There will be no exploding toilets. But nobody was presuming there would be one just from that video. But how do I know that everything going on in the video was an exploding toilet? Because they aren't even going to begin working on it until the first quarter of next year. There's no way they were showing the actual system. Also, critically, there were contradictions between what Todd was saying and what the video was showing. Also, the video was showing some things in detail that contradicted promises which CIG had previously made years ago. And honestly, I'm glad it is still so early in development, because that means it's still the point where input is not too late to matter. It is most likely now at a state of a design document and still flexible. So 6 main areas that I want to discuss. First, when real money has been collected for something, it should be delivered as close to literally exactly as described. And when in doubt, under the most generous application of what was described. Sure, there may have been disclaimers about how the game is still under development and things may change, but you know what? Feelings don't care about disclaimers. If people feel that they are being delivered less, they will be hurt, and they'll be vocal about that, despite the disclaimer. And if they're feeling that they're being delivered more, they will feel great. Second, the experience of making your base be your outpost should, to any reasonable extent, be able to duplicate the capabilities of having your base be at a space station or a landing zone. For example, with the right components, you should be able to do insurance claims, log out in your hab, store and retrieve ships and vehicles, have it be your hospital, etc. The experience does not have to be identical. It would have to have the right features built and maintained. But if at all possible, there should be an analog so that folks aren't saying you have to give up a lot of convenience to not have your home be on a station, because then they'll have their home be on the station. Third, bases should have enough automated self-defense capabilities so that they cannot be defeated with a cheesy tactic. On a properly designed base, you shouldn't be able to just fly an A2 overhead and bomb it to bits. That can certainly be the finishing blow, but it can't be the whole show. Fourth, losing your base to a raid should have costs and inconvenience associated with it, but they shouldn't be soul-crushing losses. The reasons are first that if the losses are so costly, nobody will build in any but the most protected places. And second, if the losses are truly painful, it will attract the kind of player motivated not by beating a challenging opponent, but who takes pleasure in the affliction of pain, punishment, and humiliation on others. In other words, sadistic players. Now, I know I get people who are upset when I say that, but that is word for word the definition of sadistic. Taking pleasure in the infliction of pain, punishment, or humiliation on others. So if you don't like it, take it up with Merriam-Webster, and when that doesn't work out, I suggest you own the term. After all, most folks have an occasional streak of schadenfreude. Fifth, there needs to be a balance between stuff that you build and stuff you just buy. In general, the smaller end things in rooms like furnishings, accoutrements are fun and more reasonable to build, but as they move up, both in size and complexity, they lose both the fun and the logic of being craftable items. I can give you all the plans and specifications for a CAT scan machine, but you aren't going to be able to build your own CAT scan. You might be able to build a simple cart or trolley in a home shop, but even with the plans, you aren't going to build a Tesla because it requires gigapresses, battery assembly labs, and chip fabs. If everything, literally everything can just be popped out of some Star Trek-style replicator, then why does the verse have industrial planets? Why does Lorville exist? And even more so, why does Pyro have nothing but broken-down old stuff, if all it takes to build new replacements is for the right ship to swing by and pop out a whole bunch of new stuff between solar flare storms? No, it's because Pyro is poor. So, poor has to mean something. It has to be a limiting factor, because there are things you can't make yourself. The world of Star Trek has gotten rid of money. The verse of Star Citizen clearly still has to have it be important. But even more than that, there is a gameplay angle. If my role and claim to wealth and fame in the verse is as a bounty hunter extraordinary, to say, nope, you've got to become a materials collector and crafter in order to have the status of owning a base in the verse, just doesn't fit. The broad scope of the goal of Star Citizen is that you can take your own path through the verse. So you shouldn't have to switch that in order to have the prestige of your own place. Another reason for some things not being buildable but bought is the logical problem of how do you get a machine that's big enough to build the box it comes in. The Pioneer is 200 meters long, 125 meters wide, and 30 meters tall, but an extra-large hangar is 272 meters long, 160 meters wide, and 64 meters tall in the interior volume, the exterior being obviously significantly larger than that. So the Pioneer building an extra-large hangar represents a conundrum, one easily solved by just saying that you buy the biggest buildings, and the problem of how they get built just happens by others. 6. Now we come to what Todd Papy referred to as the surveyor tool, which is one of the first contradictions between his words and the video. The video seems to give the impression of things being created from within the game, a game within the game, like say how Starfield did it and many other games. But I'm going to strongly suggest that the surveyor module be a game outside the game, because that's how good design work gets done. Imagine going up to one of the people designing outposts for CIG, say in the Montreal studio, and saying, hey, we're going to improve your design tools by putting them in the live game environment. You'll have to design in darkness a third of the time, or design in a sandstorm every now and then, and sometimes have to worry about PvP players finding you and sending you back to the spawn point, and then have to spend time traveling back to the job site before resuming your work. I'm pretty sure their reaction would be, you've got to be kidding. Just let me do my work in peace. And that is why the surveyor module should be the game outside the game. Maybe if you want to make them feel linked, you could have some computer station inside the verse that you use to enter into the surveyor module, much like how there used to be a long time ago a sim pod in the hangar module that you use to enter Arena Commander, but that's entirely optional. The important thing is to be able to work in an environment designed for productive design with tools intended for productive design, because better tools always gets better results. And those are the 6 topmost categories I want to delve further into. But I think I'll leave the further detail on each one of them for the next video, since I'm already at the typical length that I usually aim for. But I will definitely be saying more on this subject, and I think it's very important for the game to get this tool right, because better tools always get better results, which is as good a segue as any other for this video's sponsor, the online Bachelor of Science in Computer Game Programming from Southern New Hampshire University. SNHU is a regionally accredited, that's important, not-for-profit, that's also important, university with one of the lowest costs per unit in the field, which is obviously important. Computer game design is just one of over 200 degrees offered. Classes and assignments are entirely online, so fitting into your current schedule and obligations is possible. And yes, important. If you are in a place where career education would open currently closed doors, then go to snhu.edu/raiseguide and fill out the form to be able to talk to a real person about all the questions that you should have. And yes, you should have questions before such a big move. Again, that's snhu.edu/raiseguide, because better tools always get better results. And finally, an update on our giveaways. As of recording, we are 89% of the subscriber goal and 78% of the membership goal to give to one lucky winner, the Zippy Zazzy Zaftig Zephyr Zeus 2. Plus, beyond that, 58% membership and 66 subscriber goals for the Arastra. 1 entry per video, just be a member for automatic entry, or subscribe and comment somehow including the secret word. And the secret word for this video is what feelings don't care about. Fly safe, keep it real, and I'll see you in the verse. This is Daniel Raymond for Ray's Guide.